Imagine having a life with absolutely zero obstacles, like none at all. No stress, no heavy lifting, no friction whatsoever. Just imagine someone handing you everything you've ever wanted, and you don't even have to lift a single finger to get it. Sounds pretty amazing, right? I mean, if pain is bad, then less pain obviously means a better life. Well, actually, not quite. There's this massive kind of hidden tension between living a life that's merely comfortable and living one that's genuinely fulfilling. So welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely shatter the illusion of the easy path. So I want to pose this question directly to you. Is an easy life actually a great life? We are just so hardwired to assume that avoiding pain and strain is the ultimate goal of being human. But what if the exact things we're trying so desperately to avoid are the literal building blocks required to build a life of deep satisfaction? Section 1. The Trap of Ease. Movement without direction. Okay, let's dive right into this. Think of comfort kind of like a beautifully polished, perfectly paved road in Dubai. The surface is smooth, the ride is incredibly easy, and honestly, in the moment, it feels fantastic. You're cruising along fast without hitting a single bump. But here's the trap, right? If every single road were built only for comfort, you'd literally never reach places that require elevation or sharp turns or real effort. Ease gets you moving, for sure, but it totally doesn't give you a destination. Take a second to really internalize this profound distinction. Ease reduces friction, meaning gives friction a purpose. That single idea basically unlocks the entire paradigm shift of our explainer today. Because when we confuse ease with success, we start optimizing for comfort in every single area of our lives. And then we kind of wonder why everything feels so incredibly flat. Section 2. The hidden cost of comfort. Now, let's be fair to comfort here. It's not inherently evil or anything. It's totally natural to seek rest, and comfort definitely gives us something valuable, preservation. But we really need to deconstruct comfort for a minute, because while it protects us in the short term, it quietly, almost invisibly, steals essential things right away from us. Think of it like a really well-padded chair. It protects your energy. It doesn't actually make you stronger, but it lets you sit there way longer without getting sore. But sit there long enough and you'll eventually forget how to walk. It also lowers the cost of action. Imagine a door with a perfectly smooth handle versus one that sticks every single time. Obviously, the easy door gets used, and the sticky door gets avoided. Comfort makes ordinary life smoother. But here is the major catch. When every action feels totally frictionless, it hides your weaknesses, and it fundamentally changes your expectations. The system just stops demanding anything from you. So yes, it preserves you, but it absolutely does not make you more capable. Which brings us to this perfect analogy. Think about a plant that's kept indoors under absolutely perfect conditions. It's climate controlled, it's watered on a precise schedule, it never faces any harsh elements. Visually, it looks completely fine. But because that plant never experiences wind or variations in sunlight or basically any shift in its environment, it is incredibly fragile. The very second those conditions change, it just collapses. A human life without pushback operates the exact same way. Think about the last time you avoided a really tough conversation just to keep the peace. You created a controlled environment, sure, but you actually made that relationship more fragile. Comfort creates this illusion that everything is under control, but control is definitely not the same thing as resilience. Now, what's truly fascinating here is looking at the objective reality of this trade-off. Comfort gives us rest, but it takes away our hunger for growth. It gives us safety, but it completely removes our exposure to challenge. It gives relief, but strips away the awareness of our own weaknesses. And it offers short-term satisfaction at the complete expense of long-term development. If your life gets too smooth, you actually start treating normal, everyday effort as this massive, unacceptable problem. Comfort literally rewires the very system of your expectations, basically teaching you that anything meaningful is just way too expensive to pursue. Notice the stark contrast between these two driving questions. Comfort is constantly scanning the environment, asking, hey, how can this feel easier? It's a lot like obsessively adjusting the driver's seat in your car just so the ride feels a tiny bit better. Meaning, on the other hand, asks what is actually worth enduring. Because, let's be real, having the most comfortable car seat in the entire world is completely pointless if you're driving absolutely nowhere important. That brings us to Section 3, Building a Great Life, the 3 Pillars. See, if comfort is just a padded chair, a truly great life isn't just a more expensive padded chair. It's a life that's been tested, shaped, and given real direction. Great lives don't just happen by eliminating all friction. They happen by organizing that friction around something worthwhile. There's this hidden structure to it, and it relies on 3 deeply connected pillars: capability, connection, and alignment. If you remove even one of these, life instantly starts to feel thinner and a whole lot less satisfying. Let's reconstruct how we think about our daily effort. So, our first pillar is capability. Think about lifting a suitcase. Lifting a suitcase that is completely empty and totally light does absolutely nothing to make you stronger, right? It is the physical effort against actual resistance that changes your capacity. Friction is not the enemy here. It's literally the required signal for growth. A great life is built on that quiet confidence, knowing that when your suitcase is eventually packed with really heavy responsibilities, you have the genuine capacity to lift it. You can meet reality head on. The second pillar is connection. A super comfortable life that only circles around yourself is kind of like a single light bulb that isn't plugged into anything. I mean, it exists, sure, but it doesn't function. It just sits there, sealed off in the dark. But when you plug that bulb into a working circuit, when your actions actually connect to other people, to real responsibilities, to shared outcomes, light appears. Look, having zero commitments on a Sunday might feel wonderfully relaxing, but a whole entire life with zero commitments, that is completely dark. When you're plugged in, ordinary effort takes on weight, and that weight is exactly what creates significance. The third pillar is alignment, and honestly, this is what ties the whole shebang together. Imagine someone working crazy long hours, carrying some seriously heavy family responsibilities. On paper, they have zero comfort. But if those efforts are pointing in a direction they deeply respect, it feels entirely different to them. That's the huge difference we're highlighting here. Being stressed by meaningless tasks just feels like fragmentation. You're being pulled apart. But being stretched by something you actually care about, that feels like true development. The exact same hard effort becomes dignifying when it actually aligns with your deepest values. Section 4. Choosing the right difficulty. Let's wrap this up. We've seen that ease completely locks direction, and we've built up the pillars of meaning. Now it's really about empowering you to make a choice. Because discomfort isn't a punishment. It's often just the required price of admission for learning, for courage, and for real depth. And this brilliant kiln analogy illustrates exactly what we've been talking about. Think of the fire inside a kiln. The heat itself isn't the purpose, obviously, but the heat is literally the only mechanism that hardens clay into something useful. Without that intense heat, the clay just stays super soft and incredibly fragile. With the right kind of heat, though, it becomes durable, it becomes useful. Character development requires that exact same process. When you compare these two life paths side by side, you start to notice something. A meaning-centered life doesn't just blindly reject rest. Instead, it distinguishes useful discomfort from needless pain. Think about that one person you know who never shies away from a really tough challenge. They probably don't look perfectly relaxed all the time, but they project this quiet, steady confidence, don't they? It's because their struggles are actually connected to something real. That worthwhile strain is actively developing them, instead of just keeping them protected in a bubble. So the crucial point we arrive at, the big mic drop realization, is this. A great life is not made by escaping all difficulty. It is made by choosing the right difficulty. This is a massive, life-altering shift. You have to stop measuring your days purely by how easy they were, and you start measuring them by their shape, their depth, and their ultimate meaning. So here is what I want to leave you with today. The very next time life offers you the choice between what is merely easy and what is genuinely difficult, I want you to look right past that immediate friction. Don't just ask how to avoid the pain. Ask yourself, what are you actually willing to endure? Which path helps me become someone I truly respect? Think about that for a bit. Thanks so much for joining us, and I'll see you in the next explainer.